Hi everyone, welcome in or welcome back. It's lovely to see you again, and I hope you're all doing really well. Today I have these two very mangled boxes in front of me, and you might recognize from the windows, or what you can see of them, that this is Aurora from Sleeping Beauty and Ariel from The Little Mermaid. So these are two Disney Princess BJDs that came out within the last quarter of last year. So there wasn't that much information out about them. They're not as easily accessible through some of the common retailers that I usually recommend or I have ordered from in the past. So these I actually got off of AliExpress, which is kind of why they're in the sorry state of boxes that they're in. So thankfully I'm not an inbox collector, but regardless, I was very curious to see what these dolls were all about for myself. They did have a couple others who are available in the line, so we can see on the box here they have Belle, Aurora, Ariel, Snow White, and Cinderella. They actually also had Elsa available. I'm not sure why she's not on the box, but she was also among the cast of characters. So I ended up choosing Aurora and Ariel because these are the two from the set that I liked the most. They also exemplify the two different faceplates that are in the set. You can't really see it, but we have a little bit more of a surprised expression, and then we have a more gentle smile. I do also like Sleeping Beauty a lot. I find it to be one of the most beautiful movies in the way that it's presented, so I really love Sleeping Beauty, and it's kind of a comfort movie to me. And then as a child, and also now, I still really like mermaids, so of course I had to get Ariel. Now, if the dolls end up being nice, I might pick up more in the future. The other ones looked quite cute, or at least the base dolls looked pretty cute, and as a kid, I also really liked Snow White. I think we're gonna go ahead and start with Aurora. So if I remember correctly, I got them for around $20 to $30 Canadian, so they leaned pretty much in the same price range as a lot of the blind box BJDs that we've seen in the past, at least for this 1/12 scale. So I had accidentally muted my mic for a little bit of the opening section, but basically on seeing the base, there were a couple marks and scuffs that were yellow that I later realized were transfers from her hair paint. We'll see them again on Ariel, but that's what I'm talking about here. And all of those yellow marks did come off with the alcohol swab. It did take a little bit of scrubbing, but it's all nice and clean now. So as usual, we'll start by looking at the doll herself first. So her hair is done in this very cute, swirly, wavy fashion, and there are some defined curls at the end of each loop of hair, both in the back and in her framing pieces, and a big swirl, almost like a cinnamon bun on the front. And if we open her up for the face-up, we can see that part of the hair that keeps it in place to the back of the head has broken off on the inside. As far as the face-up goes, it's actually quite pretty. Her eyebrows are done in the sort of darker yellow color that is also her hair. Her eyelashes are in brown, and they're drawn in a pretty fluffy way. There is a little bit of orange blush on the tip of her nose and underneath her eyes. She has some orange toned lipstick, and her eyes do have a slight follow me effect, but are mostly looking off to the right. The eye chips are actually very cute, with the base of the eye being primarily this deep blue, and then sort of a confetti style highlight on the bottom in all sorts of colors, ranging from pink and slight tints of orange, and then there is a primary white highlight in the upper left. So you can pop the eye chips out. Oh, interesting. You can move the way they're looking. Gosh, this is a very interesting doll. Oop. Well, and it seems like the eye chips can come out, or I guess not eye chips, these are fully spherical eyeballs, so you can get a little bit of a closer look. Well, I think it is cool how you can shift the way that the eye is looking. I also think the eyes are one of the prettiest aspects of these dolls. The broken piece is a little bit unfortunate, but to be honest, it's broken in such a way that I am unsure if that was actually part of this, or if it was from the cast, because it doesn't have much wiggle room in there either. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. Anyway, the neck card is also a little bit of a different shape than we're used to, whereas they tend to have a more trapezoidal or triangular shape. This one is fully round and seems to just slot underneath the eyepiece. So despite the broken piece inside of the hair, it does stay on pretty nicely, which is good. For our points of articulation, I took off the dress so we can take a closer look. We have the neck, the chest, the shoulders, the elbows, the wrists, the legs, the knees, knees and the feet, and the shoes are attached to the foot itself. Her shoes are also a bright pink that match the dress, and they are just high heels. I wasn't 100% sure when I opened them if they were actually going to be BJDs or if they were actually just going to be MJDs, but it does seem like they are BJDs. And the stringing is fine. It's not the firmest, but of course that can always be fixed. So they're a little wiggly in the knees and such. I do like that the dolls do come with underwear. I'm not particularly impressed by the build quality of the dress. It looks a little lumpy and cheapo, and it is a little lumpy and cheapo. So looking closer at the dress, the sleeves are this kind of lined, ribbed fabric with a little bit of sparkle to it. The bodice is, in comparison, matte, and the neck is cut out like a V. There's this overskirt on the larger skirt that is in sort of a three-pointed triangular pattern with some rhinestones on it. The rhinestones are only on the front panel and do not continue to the back side. And then the skirt, though long, is sort of the same texture as a plastic tablecloth that you would use for a birthday party. It is very, very thin, but I do think that this is probably the kind of material that is easy to wash off if you were to get it dirty. In that regard, it might not be the worst material choice for a children's targeted BJD. But though I say that, the box does say that this is suitable for ages 15 and above, which thankfully I am. But if that is the case, then I do think that taking precautions on cleanliness and material of the dress is not really necessary. I would believe that most people who are of the ages 15 and older who are interested in dolls would know to treat it with more care, and therefore this is not necessarily a choice designed for ease of wash, but certainly appears to be more of a cost-cutting decision. Dolls like Monster High and such in the West definitely do take more care in the construction of clothing, so I'm not particularly impressed with the dress. This definitely could have been done a lot more nicely. Moving on to the little packet of accessories, there is the little stand part, and thankfully it does not have any mysterious yellow marks. So there is what the stand looks like. It is plastic and the bottom is hollow. The little stand piece connects in like so, and I think this just hooks around one of their legs. Around the border of the stand is a little bit of a decorative pattern, and in the middle says True Princess Within. So the stand is actually kind of cute. And here is the necklace, which is also just a triangular piece, very thin, but goes around her neck. To be honest, I was going to put the dress back on her, but I hate this. I hate it a lot, so we're going to give her a new outfit instead. I have this pink wisteria outfit from Comfort Free, so we're going to use this instead because I hate the other one. Okay, so there she is in her new outfit because I hate the old one. Now, is it cheating to give her a new outfit in the middle of a review? Probably. But to be frank, the inside of this even looks a little bit like a garbage bag. I really hate this dress. I am really quite unimpressed. I decided to give her the new dress to really give her a fighting chance against all the things that were not so pleasing about it. So to be quite honest, I was excited when this line was dropped, mostly because I like Disney movies and I have sentimental value towards these characters. As I mentioned in the beginning, I think Sleeping Beauty is one of the most beautiful movies ever made. But I have always been a little bit disappointed by the execution of Disney dolls, and that goes for how expensive their collector lines go, and that also goes for their playline ones, because I think they can do better. They can do better than this. It is one thing when it's a playline doll, but when you are advertising something to be of teenager age and older, I think that they have enough tact and deserve to have something that is going to last on them. And as I've mentioned numerous times, this is the same quality as a plastic tablecloth. And now I can kind of see why these dolls didn't really make it outside of certain retailers, because to be honest, they don't really lend themselves to being worth their price. After all, if your interest is in BJDs specifically, you can get a Bonnie for around the same price, if not cheaper, and their quality is much more solid. But that said, for a lot of people, Disney is an IP that is very comforting to them and very nostalgic to them, or is very meaningful to them, and I can see why they would be interested in this. After all, that's why why I decided to get them. But I pretty much knew as soon as I looked at the photos and saw how their dress quality was that I would be redressing her. However, even though all of the accessories do leave something to be desired, I do think the base doll herself is quite pretty. The sculpt is really nice, and her hair, which is this blonde color that is somewhat pearlescent or glossy, also makes her look pretty cute. In general, I also think the face up is done really quite nicely. I love how fluffy the eyelashes look, and I generally enjoy the nature of the expression, and I think the eye chips are also really pretty. I think it's cool that you can move them around as wanted. But that said, even the base doll was not without her flaws, with having a broken piece right in the middle of the part that connects to the front hair. So that covers my thoughts on Aurora. They are a little bit harsh, I will admit, and I also kind of knew what I was getting into buying these when no one was carrying them. But I do think the base doll is really cute, and also there were no bugs in the package. I think that's a pretty good plus. So I'll set her off to the side for now, and let's go take a look at Ariel. Moving on to the more mangled box of the two, I have Ariel. So there are the components for Ariel. As I can see, there are no bugs, so that's a good sign. Whereas Aurora had yellow scuffs, this one has red scuffs, so I guess that must mean that it's paint transfer from the hair. Time to go wipe these off as well. Okay, the red scuffs didn't want to come out as nicely, but they're mostly gone. So just like last time, we have the main doll herself, the stand base, the stand, and there's a starfish, a pale starfish with a magnet in the back. So whereas Aurora has the smiling mouth, Ariel has the second kind of faceplate that we see within these dolls, which is this sort of curious open mouth, and she does have distinctly red lipstick. Oh, interesting. Okay, so we're learning about this together. So Aurora's hair is definitely broken. There's like kind of a jagged corner here, but we can see the rounded sections are in both of them, which makes me think that might be where they're extruded in the molds, maybe, in which case the Ariel hair cylinder is also a lot smoother. So that's kind of curious. That's so interesting. I really don't know. In any case, we can see that she does have a magnet on one side for that starfish later on, but for now, her hair is this lovely bright red that is also slightly pearlescent and glossy, and it is parted on one side, on the right side of her head, where there is this beautiful large swoop going across her forehead and tucked behind her ear. I do think that the hair sculpts for this are really quite pretty, and I also like how vivid the colors are. So for her face, her eyebrows are drawn in sort of a dark red. They kind of lean almost towards a violet or purple toned red. The eyelashes are drawn in black and are not as fluffy as Aurora's, but do have a little bit of a point in the corners. She has a much wider eyed expression, which leads to this sort of curious or shocked expression, depending on how you want to read it. In general, the tones in her face are a little bit more red, so there is a little bit of a reddish orange outline around her eyes and her eye creases, and she does have the same soft blushing around the tip of her nose and underneath her eyes. You can see her little red lips as well. It seems like her eye chips are pretty similar to Aurora's. I think they may be more blue toned, and Aurora's does seem to lean more towards purple or a darker blue. Also, I was curious about this before. Aurora does have these piercing holes, but does not have piercings, and I did look into the box and there was nothing else there. But Ariel does have little pearlescent pink clam earrings with a pearl, and it doesn't seem like the earrings come off either, so I think Aurora just doesn't have any earrings, probably because her ears are covered. So the same bead that's used for her earring is also used to decorate her dress. Her sleeves are supposed to be a bit poofy. It's not super fitted well. Her sleeve kind of goes into the bodice a little bit too much, but it is the same texture and fabric as the tablecloth skirt. Over top, they do use this shimmery pink fabric that is also used for the bodice. There's a little bit of a white ribbon going around the waist, and that makes her dress. Also, for her heels, she has a very light pink, almost white or off-white pair of heels. There's been some fluff that's flying out of the packages, and I keep panicking, thinking that like a bug is rolling off my desk. Mortifying. This is mortifying. This unboxing is a horror experience. So the starfish adheres very nicely to the magnet on her head, and I actually do prefer this style of accessory. It's also significantly thicker, casted in plastic, and has a lot more detail compared to the crown and necklace that Aurora has. I think between the two dresses, I still hate this dress more, because I think this section just looks so not very good. At least from a distance, Ariel's dress looks maybe a little bit better, but as a whole, I mean, I think Ariel looks a bit cuter. But whereas I was going to change the dress regardless, I do have one thing I want to try, and that is putting her on Leaf's body from the Pennybox Mermaid line. So I got her in a split a while ago, and when I saw these dolls come out, I thought that this would be a good chance to try something. So we're gonna remove the neck card. So I think the S hook is too snug of a fit, so we're gonna try switching them out with the hook that comes from the other doll. To be honest, they look about the same, but whatever. We're trying. It could be that the cord is also too big. Okay, that seemed like it worked better. Now that we have the neck on. Okay, that's pretty freaking cute. Okay, that's pretty cute. She looks really good as a rebody, actually. What the frick? Skin tone match is also pretty good. And I actually prefer this over the other one. I actually prefer this over her regular one. So we're gonna keep this on once again as a fighting chance against my criticisms of this doll. Oh my god, it's actually adorable. She actually looks really good. I'm happy. And put in her little side fins. She actually looks so cute. Okay, well, with that, let's go ahead and talk about the dolls together, I guess. Okay, so there are the two dolls together. Considering how big their heads are, I like the proportioning on a larger body doll like the mermaids. So I think their proportions look really good for rebodying. And to be honest, I have to admit, as much as I've been criticizing them and having been caught off guard by some of the weird liberties taken with these dolls, I don't think I was as detailed in this as I usually try to be. No, I actually think they're pretty cute, but I definitely think that they are in need of either being made hybrid into a different doll or being redressed, because the base outfits definitely leave something to be desired in terms of quality. And I know that Disney can do better because it's Disney. They have so much money. I do generally like the idea of making this smaller size scale doll available at a lower price than other Disney BJDs. I just wish that their general quality was better. I think the body is fine. It's not even as loose as my Teeners, so in that regard, I don't have much to complain about with the bodies. They're pretty standard. I just have an issue mostly with the lack of quality in the clothing. I even would have preferred the price to be higher if the dresses were a little bit nicer. But if you do really like Disney characters, if you really like Disney princesses, I don't think this is necessarily a bad option. I don't regret getting them, actually, even though they're kind of weird and I complained about them for about an hour here. I think the actual heads, the eyes, and so on from the dolls themselves are actually really quite lovely. I complimented it quite a bit, but the sculpt's really nice too. I would have liked to see the detail put into the sculpt for Ariel's starfish to be found in Aurora's. Aurora's quality of items in particular really frustrated me. I think in particular because I like Aurora so much, the lack of quality in her accessories and items made me particularly upset. But as a whole, I think the two dolls are actually quite cute. I feel like my tune really changed after putting Ariel on the mermaid body. So I suppose if you are looking for a Disney doll, these ones aren't the worst option available, given the sculpting and everything is really cute. But like, definitely have backup options for outfits, or sew your own outfits, or rebody them into bodies that don't even need clothes, because I hate this. This is horrible. This is a tablecloth. Like, what is this? If you've seen these floating around and were curious about them, I hope that this gives you a little bit of insight into how they're like. They're really not horrendous, but they're definitely not top of the line either, even within the line of 1/12 scale BJD dolls. Yeah, I guess I'll leave you guys with that for now. It was kind of a foreboding sign when the boxes came all mangled, but I mean, as a whole, I actually don't mind that I got them, and I'm quite happy with how they look when they're rebodied or redressed. I hope you guys have a lovely rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, be nice, be kind, and I'll talk to you guys next time, whether that be in a stream or a video. Okay, bye-bye!